Hi, this is another episode of Tuesdays with Todd. I'm Todd Kelting. This week we are putting the pieces together, talking about the tenant holding over concept, which is still, thankfully, a viable concept in the state of Maryland, unlike in the District of Columbia, where leases are evergreen. In Maryland, landlords have the ability to terminate the end of a lease at the end of the lease term, and we are not required to prove or show cause for the termination of the lease. It's really important that you have good cause for the termination. We just don't have to set forth the reason for the termination in the notice we give. In most jurisdictions, the statute doesn't require any particular length of notice to terminate a lease at the end of the lease term or at the end of a month-to-month or carryover tenancy. In Montgomery County, landlords are required to give at least a 60-day notice. That's also the case in Baltimore City when you're terminating the lease at the end of the lease term. In other jurisdictions, your lease dictates the length of notice that's required. Some clients have a lease that requires a 60-day notice. Other clients have a lease that requires a 30-day notice. Whichever the case may be, that's a notice that we can draft for you. And once that notice expires, we will follow up and find out whether the tenant moved or not. Unlike the breach of lease case, where we have three, sometimes very difficult to prove prongs, with the tenant holding over case, what we have to prove in court is much easier. We have to prove that there was a lease, that the lease expired. Should be very easy. The lease is a document that has an expiration date. And finally, that the tenant was served with a notice and they failed to move. All of those steps are easy. It is the best leverage you have to remove a problem tenant who may not have breached the lease in a substantial way or in a way that warrants the tenant's eviction, but it still allows you to get your property back from a tenant who just isn't good for your community, isn't good for your property. We will talk more about avoiding the potential for retaliatory evictions on the next episode. That's been Tuesdays with Todd. I'm Todd Kelting.